So trends in printing, variable slash versioned. One of the things that I would suggest to you or to think about as you move forward, if you're committed to a magazine, some organizations are versioning their magazine offerings so that they're more relevant, regional to the geography or the chapters that are closest to them, so that there are stories that are specific to parts of the country that would resonate with the alumni. Transactional is huge. And if you're not already marketing through transactional, this would be one of those things that you could easily do with the tools that you have right now and take advantage of. You really want to take advantage of every piece of paper that goes out of your organization with a stamp on it, and transactional is one of those areas. You bill, you send out an invoice, and on that invoice, it's the one piece of mail that people do not throw away. Take advantage of the fact that they will be compelled to open up that envelope and mark it to them on the invoice. That's also true, by the way, if we hop channels, if you do so by email, it is the one piece of email that you can send out without punity from the federal government and will not be governed by the CAN-SPAM compliance rules. Transactional emails do not need to be compliant with CAN-SPAM, and it's another excellent opportunity to market. Template-driven workflows. We touched on this just briefly in the last session, which is to say, if you want to gain greater control over your branding and still give access to the chapters so that they have the ability to generate local brochures or local postcards, creating templates that they can then turn around and produce themselves or send over to the local FedEx Kinkos to have produced, locking certain elements down while giving them the ability to manage whatever is germane or local to their events is also self-service marketing. You get the best of both worlds. You get to lock down what you don't want them to be able to change in any way while giving them some flexibility and some materials that they can use at the click of a button. And that goes hand in hand with on-demand and web to print. And I'm going to pose a couple of maybe suggestions to you that you might not have thought about before, but web to print extends this idea a little bit further with products like Bitstream's PageFlex, in that you can merge both data and templates together to drive all kinds of personalized marketing pieces while retaining control of the message from your national headquarters. And then finally, I suppose this is sort of old hat at this point, but for example, my sessions this afternoon are print, next session will be web, and the final session will be social media. But I would rather you look at what you do in the context of marketing and publishing as simply creating content and pushing content out different channels. It's the same content. You're leveraging multiple channels, but the story, the headline, the image, the event, whether you post it on a Facebook fan page, put it in a social media release, post it to your website, or send it out on a postcard, odds are that it's the same content being generated over and over and over again, and repurposing that content. Give it some legs. I mean, you might have spent a great deal of time laying out that magazine. Don't let it end there. Repurpose an article or two and post them out as white papers. Send them out in multiple channels so that that content can live on in other ways and drive more visitors back to your website, as an example. Or entice a reporter to cover a story that they would never have picked up ordinarily because it was captured and trapped on page 43 of your magazine somewhere. So repurposing of content will also be something that I think you should think about, because we're in a transitionary period now, but I think it's fair to say that an awful lot of stuff starts out as a print project. It starts out in a layout, but it can live on in other forms with the right tools and making sure everyone's on the same page when it comes to let's give this story as much life as we possibly can. Okay, What is variable data publishing? It's a little snapshot of a postcard. I'm sure you've all been the recipient of some cool things and some god-awful looking things that have ended up in your mailbox as a result of driving data through a template. And here's a classic example of an offer, an agenda, maybe based on how they've registered, an image, and a name, all of which are variable, and a template, maybe InDesign, maybe Cork, with placeholders, with a variable in that placeholder, and possibly conditions that dictate what will appear differently on each postcard or letter or article that may appear. The sky's the limit in terms of what you can drive through those placeholders. The only thing that you need, essentially, is data, and you have membership data, I'm assuming. What kind of data do you collect on your members? Do you know their date of birth? So you know how old they are. You know their gender. You know where they live. You know when they graduated, what chapter they're affiliated with. Do you collect any other information? Hobbies, interests, previous committees or activities that positions that they've served or held? Okay. Do we know their phone number? Do we have their email address? Do we have their cell phone? Do we ask for all of those things? I've got some heads going yes and some not. Ask for everything. They don't have to give it to you, but ask for everything so that you can start building that repository of data. Not because you're going to print their cell phone number on a postcard, okay, but because you can leverage that information in a lot of creative ways. That offer there was based on the buying habits of whoever that person is, okay? The fact that they have X amount of dollars in the bank isn't what's on the postcard, but the amount of money in the account triggered the discount level that appeared on the postcard. I might never say, hey, Kate, I see you're a female. They know I'm a female. They're never going to use the word female, but they might say, if gender female, then give me a picture of a woman with a cap and gown or a background that's pink as opposed to some other picture or some other background. We can leverage the data with conditions to render printed items that are very, very personalized to that individual. Now, why would we do that? Why do we want to do that? Why would that be of any interest to anybody? Yes, RJ.
We want them to pay attention to the messages and more personalized to the pieces and all that we want to pay attention to.
Correct. Industry statistics. Personalization yields far greater response rates than static generic pieces. And I mean pretty significant difference in return. I think direct mail right now is hovering at around a lowly 1%, maybe, in terms of response rate, in terms of call to action on generic pieces. And I've seen response rates with variable data as high as 20 to 25%. And that percentage you're looking at, hopefully you're looking at good email opens and click-throughs at that rate. So it's not as good as mobile, but it's far better than static mail.